Hello, my name is Katrina. What I'd like to share is not really a story. It's more of a feeling, I think. I don't know why, but I've had the urge to share it for a while. I love my life. My mom left us when I was 11. I guess she was never happy living with my dad and I, and she just got too tired. From what I remember, I can't say we got along well, since Mom would get mad and yell at me almost every other day. But that's not all her fault. Her father, my grandpa that I never met, was an alcoholic and abused the whole family. So I guess my mom just never learned how to love. And that's so sad. Last time we spoke on the phone, which was just a few times over the past few years, she seemed pretty happy with her life. Alone, hundreds of miles away from us, and she didn't seem all that willing to keep in touch. But the fact that she's happy makes me happy. My dad is an amazing person who has done so much for me over all these years. He had a hard time getting out of bed for a while after my mom left, and he still gets sad from time to time. I try to help him with whatever I can. Thankfully, he's been seeing a therapist, and it seems that he's feeling much better. My dad likes to say that in his darkest moments, I was his source of optimism and life energy. And I always answer that he was the one who taught me that same lesson when I was a child. So, a few months after Mom left, as my dad and I were slowly getting back to normal life, we lost our house. We're both still not sure how it happened. It was about 3 in the morning when the fire started somewhere in the kitchen, and my dad was there. He had stayed up really late that night, but he's never been able to recall why the fire started, and I didn't ask for much detail. I'm just happy we both stayed alive that night. When my dad noticed the house was on fire, he ran upstairs to wake me up. He was determined to carry me out of the house in his arms, but I told him that I could get myself out of the house, since the way to the exit was pretty clear, and Dad was gonna go get our cat, Jessie. He ran to the bedroom to get him, as I ran to the door like he told me. I was not panicking, but I was really nervous, of course. So, as I was running down the stairs, I slipped and fell down. I got up immediately and ran outside, not feeling any pain. And later, I would learn that when that happened, I had broken my right leg and heavily twisted my left ankle. But at that moment, I was just standing by the porch, praying that my dad would be okay. These, I guess, maybe 3 minutes seemed like an eternity. Finally, Dad ran outside with Jessie in his arms, who was frightened to death, and some papers and valuables in his hand. The firemen came as soon as they could, but they could not save the house. It burned down really quickly. I was crying with happiness as my dad was fine and Jessie was alive too. And as my adrenaline stopped pumping and I started to relax a little, I started to feel severe pain in both legs. I spent the next few weeks in the hospital. I almost could not walk, and my dad lived in a motel, working late nights and spending as much time with me as he could. All of this was not easy, but we both just held on to each other, I think. I was in my hospital bed most of the time, so I had enough time to think and rethink. And when my legs got better, my mind did too. I realized that everything that happened was just life. In the hospital, the doctors performed some tests on me and found a congenital heart defect. They said that it was somehow overlooked when I was a child. I don't really want to get into detail with that, but I was told it could strike at any moment, day or night. It also could not be treated right away. So for 2 months, I felt like my life was up in the air. I started to have panic attacks and anxiety, but then I thought, if I couldn't do anything about it, then I guess I should just continue to live my life. 2 months after that, I was operated on and everything went well. When I could walk again after the fire, very slowly, but still, we moved in with my dad's parents in the neighboring city, since our house needed a lot of work. My grandma Anne was so nice to us. She is also a very cheerful person. Well, she was. We got really close over the year we lived with them. Anne died 4 months ago, and my dad has had a hard time dealing with it, but I'm really proud of him. 3 days ago, we moved back into our house, and it feels even better than it did before. And my dad seems happy with this too. So this feeling I've been having over the last months is that I love my life. Everything that happened was a learning experience, and I was lucky to have known my mom, to have known Anne, and to have my dad by my side. And of course, At times I felt sad and anxious and even desperate, but I always knew that it wouldn't last long. Even when I felt this way, I knew there were so many things to be grateful to the world for. So if you are feeling down, never lose hope, and don't hesitate to ask for help. There are wonderful people out there to lend you a hand. Love, Katrina.